My mom, Susan, had a habit of sending me to get her shopping. However, she would always leave out a zero when paying me back what was owed, blaming on her poor eyesight. I never minded. In fact, I would just cover the cost without another word. Then Summer, my sister, had to throw shade. Mom sends you money whenever she wants something. You never show us the actual cost, though. I bet you're making a nice little profit off Mom. Behind our backs, Susan smiled and didn't even bother to defend me, as if confirming Summer's accusations. My heart sank. Over the years, I had bought her things, from major appliances to the smallest groceries. And each time the payment she sent was short, Susan would just brush the whole thing off by saying, "Oh, my eyes aren't what they used to be. My bad." I had poured hundreds of thousands into her expenses, only to end up with a reputation as a thief who cheated her own family. When Susan sent me money for the New Year's Eve catering, I simply booked food that fit the budget she paid for. An awkward silence hung over the room. The people at the dinner table simply stared at the food spread, with a mix of emotions. I urged, "Don't just sit there. Dig in." My mother, Susan. Bridget pulled a grimace, holding back an outburst only because others were present. Swallowing her rage, Susan asked, "Is this all of it? Push the waiting staff to hurry up and serve the rest." "This is everything," I replied indifferently before turning to the rest of the family. "Eat up before the food gets cold." Thud. Susan slammed her utensil down, her chest heaving. "We are a table of 12 and this is what you get us," one family member uttered. "Macy, surely this is a mistake. This doesn't quite the New Year's Eve spread we usually have." In previous years, the family would have a feast with plenty of the finest seafood. This year, the table looked barren, set with only a small buffet. The only thing remotely close to a shellfish blowout was a measly shrimp cocktail. Of course, the family was confused. "No, that's no mistake." Took my head infuriated. Susan pressed. "I gave you money to host the New Year's Eve party. And this is what you're serving everyone?" I glanced at the spread and sighed. "Well, this is the best I can do with the limited budget," my sister, Summer Fowler, said, her finger up my nose. "Who are you kidding? I know for a fact that Mom wired you $4,000 for the catering. I doubt there's even $500 worth of food here. Did you pocket the rest? I know that you're always finding excuses to buy things for Mom and overcharge her for the errands. But you've gone too far this time." Following the statement, the family gave me looks filled with judgment. I turned to her. "Have you forgotten, Mom? You only sent me $400. And this is the food all that money could buy." Panic fleeted across Susan's face, as she hadn't expected me to call her out. Nevertheless, she was quick to cover her tracks, clearing her throat. Susan kept cutting her eyes at me. "What are you talking about? I sent you $4,000, Summer mocked. "Oh, just give it up. I was there when Mom called you. She told you that the budget was $4,000. How can you claim that you got $400? That's quite a ridiculous cut you're giving yourself." With Summer backing Susan up, the family members' disdain for me grew. Uncle Sam said furiously, "Macy, how could you steal from your own mother?" Faced with their skepticism, I pulled up the transaction record. "See for yourselves. Mom transferred $400. It was true that Susan called me to give me the budget for the New Year's Eve party. However, when the money came, it was only $400. It was Susan's go-to-MO. She'd play dumb so long as I kept quiet. The moment I spoke up, She'd blame her eyesight for being off by a digit. Then came the guilt trip. So I fell short on the funds. Do you need to go out of your way to point that out? After all the years I've cared for you. Must you get upset over a bit of money? You're nothing like your sister. You are a thankless brat sitting next to me? Tanya glanced at my phone before looking up and uttering, "Oh. It is just $400, Susan." Susan let out a strange chuckle and embarrassment. My eyesight isn't what it used to be. I must have missed a zero. She glared at me. Why didn't you say something sooner? Susan reluctantly transferred me the rest of the funds. Her voice stiff when she said, "There you go, you have the money. Now get us a decent spread. Don't keep everybody waiting." Before I could get a word in, Summer beat me to it. "What are you doing, Mom?" She sneered at me and said out loud, "I'm sure you've skimmed a fortune off Mom by now. What if she's short one time? Can't you just cover the difference for once? Are you shaming Mom in front of family? Because you didn't get anything out of her?" Susan gave her a pouting look. "Don't say such things when we have family around." Her supposed criticism was simply confirmation that I was a thief. I paused for a moment before refunding her the money. I uttered callously, "In that case, you can have the money back. You can fix this with catering so I don't get blamed for taking a cut." The look on Susan's face froze. She knew that the bill for the usual feast would cost over $10,000. Susan was one to keep up with appearances before the family. Summer rolled her eyes and clicked her tongue. "Oh, don't act like you're the saint. Since you're talking about returning the money, don't stop at today's. You should pay Mom back every penny you stole from her. There's no better time than today with the family here. Let's do the math and see how much you've taken so far." Susan pulled a face. She grabbed Summer's hand. "We shouldn't be talking about money at a family get-together. This is a matter behind closed doors." "No, I want to settle this right now." Summer jerked her arm away from Susan. Violently, she yelled, her eyes welling up. "I know what's going on. You asked Macy to run errands to sneak her money. I'm your daughter, too. Why are you playing favorites? You should put everything on the table in front of everyone. Exactly how much have you given her? I expect the same down to the last penny." Everything became clear to me when I saw the begrudging look on Summer's face. She wasn't blowing the whole thing out of proportion to stand up for Susan. It was all jealousy on her part, as she believed Susan had been secretly giving me financial support. Summer was kicking up a fuss to claim back what was rightfully hers. Sam came to Summer's defense. "Susan, you always claim to be fair to both your daughters. Why are you favoring Macy? You have my support." "Summer, you should fight for your rights." The rest of the family sided with Summer as well. Her well-being was the last thing on their minds. But they weren't about to miss a front-row seat to the family drama. Color drained from Susan's face. Susan squeezed a smile. "Don't encourage Summer. You all know me. I've always been fair to my children. I'll tell catering to get us more food." Susan rose to her feet to leave the room. Summer stopped her, her arms spread apart. "Are you trying to run away? Why? Are you scared?" Susan chuckled awkwardly. "I swapped my phone recently and lost all my phone data. I don't have the chat logs anymore. There's no way to check the transactions. Even if I wanted to. Tell you what? I'll send you 20 grand. Summer cut Susan off with a smirk. "Don't try to shut me up with just 20 grand. I bet you funneled much more than that into Macy's pockets. Besides, it's not about the money. I just want justice." With her words striking hard, Sam's wife, Kendra, led the applause. Atta girl, speak up about all the hurt. We got your back. Looking thrilled, Kendra held her phone up to capture the spectacle. She was an influencer with around 20,000 followers on a real platform. It took me a second to catch on to what Kendra was trying to do. Sure enough, I checked Kendra's social media handle using my alternative account and found that she was live. Nevertheless, she had only a handful of viewers so far. Displeased with the low viewer count, Kendra egged the other family members on to stir up more drama. With the family behind her, Summer straightened her back and felt assured she spoke aloud. You talk about being fair to both of us. But in truth, you favor Macy in secret. Do you think I'm blind? Today I'm finally standing up for myself. Susan looked at me pleadingly, expecting me to step in and intervene. I sighed to myself, though Susan's behavior let me down. This was ultimately a private family matter. It was one thing to air our dirty laundry in front of family. But the stakes had shifted. Now that Kendra was live streaming the conflict, with Kendra and the family stirring the pot, the live broadcast viewer count shot up. I refused to let our family matters be her clickbait, or allow strangers who knew nothing to comment. Hence, I interrupted Summer abruptly. We'll talk at home for now. Let's just enjoy dinner. I gave her a look, but the message went over Summer's head. She scoffed, as a vested party. You have no say here. Am I wrong to ask to be treated fairly? You and Mom are going to deny the favoritism back home anyway. So it's in my best interest to get answers right here. Right now. Susan's grimace grew as Summer refused to relent. Struck by a thought, Susan got a grip on herself. She looked up and met my gaze. Macy, it's unfair to Summer that I bankrolled you by having you run errands for me. Taken aback, I was ready to question her claim when Susan went on. The transaction records are gone. It's hard to keep track of the different bills anyway. But I reckon I have financed you to the tune of $200,000 throughout the years. Why don't you just pay Summer $100,000 and we'll call it a day? Having said her piece, Susan turned to Summer for her 2 cents. After much internal deliberation, Summer gave in with a nod. Fine, I guess. As it turned out, Summer held out on the 20 grand proposal. Because the payout wasn't to her expectations, Susan shifted her gaze to me, gesturing for me to wire Summer the funds. With her reputation on the line, Susan made me take responsibility for something that never happened, and demanded that I transfer money to Summer. I smirked in rage, rolling her eyes. Summer urged, well, don't just stand there. Send the money already. I locked eyes with Susan. You claim that I've pocketed over $200,000 in supposed commissions from running errands for you. Show me the proof. Susan looked away. Like I told you, the chat logs are long gone. How am I supposed to show you? She murmured in my ear. Just transfer Summer the money. Don't start a family drama over the holidays, or the family is going to have a field day. I'll clear the air with Summer back home. Later, she'll return the money. Then Susan expected me to cave in, like I did before, when she allegedly paid me the wrong amount by mistake. However, I stood firm on my ground, for once not taking the fall because she told me so. I raised a brow. How can you claim that I profited the difference? Then Summer slammed the table and shrieked. Mom owned up to it. Why are you still stubborn? Are you denying the whole thing? Because Mom said that her phone data is lost. The other family members persuaded me to cough the money up. I uttered curtly, it never happened. There's no way I'm sending her money. Summer's eyes welled up. Then came a slap across my face. Susan struck me, leaving my cheek numb. She tore into me, her finger up my nose. You're so selfish. Summer is trying to be nice by putting the whole fiasco to rest. For just 100 grand, but you care more about money than family. My heart sank. All right. Then didn't Summer assert that I pocketed the difference? When shopping for things on your behalf? We can go through the numbers. If I really did profit, I'll return the amount in full. Summer scoffed in disdain. Wow, aren't you a saint? The chat logs are lost. How are we supposed to check the transactions? I waved my phone. That's fine. Mom doesn't have the data records. But I do. Susan went white in the face. The silence in the dining room was so heavy it felt physical. All eyes were on me, especially Kendra's phone lens, which was practically vibrating with anticipation. I could almost see the live comments flooding in on her screen. Show the receipts. Drama queen. Is she bluffing? I wasn't bluffing. I pulled out my phone and opened my cloud storage. I had backed up everything, every text, every receipt, every bank transfer confirmation since I was 18. Why? Because I work in accounting, and meticulous record-keeping is practically my religion. But also, deep down, a part of me always knew this day would come. Since Mom's phone has convenient amnesia, I said, my voice steady despite the stinging in my cheek, let's use mine. I cast my phone screen to the large smart TV mounted on the dining room wall. Susan's face drained of color faster than a vampire at sunrise. Macy, don't, she started, reaching for the remote, but Uncle Sam blocked her. Let her show us, Susan, Sam said, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of the spectacle. Unless you have something to hide? The screen flickered to life. I opened a folder labeled Mom's Errands, 2018 to present. It was a spreadsheet. A massive, color-coded, terrifyingly detailed spreadsheet. Let's start with last month, I said, scrolling down. December 12th request, new washing machine. Cost, $850. Amount transferred by Mom, $85. A collective gasp went around the table. I clicked on the linked receipt image and the screenshot of the bank transfer. The evidence was undeniable. November 5th, I continued, my voice gaining strength. Request, grocery run for Thanksgiving prep. Total cost, $342.15. Amount transferred, $34. Note from Mom, oops, blind as a bat today, honey. Summer stared at the screen, her mouth slightly open. Wait, you mean she underpaid you? Every single time, I said, scrolling faster now. The numbers blurred into a cascade of red ink. October, new winter coat. Cost, $200. Paid, $20. September, car repair for her sedan. Cost, $1,200. Paid, $120. I turned to Susan. She was gripping the tablecloth so hard her knuckles were white. I have the totals at the bottom, I said, scrolling to the end. The final figure was highlighted in bold yellow. Total owed by Susan to Macy, $48,540.23. So, I said, turning to Summer. If anyone owes anyone money, Mom owes me nearly 50 grand. And you want me to pay you $100,000? Summer looked from the screen to Susan, confusion warring with her greed. But Mom said, she said she was giving you money. Susan finally found her voice. Those are fake. She doctored them. These are bank statements, Mom, I said calmly. They're time-stamped and verified. I can log into my bank app right now and show you the live feed if you want. Kendra squealed from the corner. OMG, the chat is blowing up. People are calculating the inflation rate on the unpaid debts. Summer stood up slowly. She looked at Susan with a gaze that had shifted from jealousy to a dawning, horrified realization. You lied to me, Summer whispered. You told me you were helping her. You told me that's why you couldn't help me with my student loans. You said Macy was draining you dry. Susan stammered, I was protecting you. I didn't want you to worry about money. Protecting me? Summer shouted. You made me hate my sister. You made me look like a greedy witch on a live stream. And all this time, you were stealing from her? The room erupted. Uncle Sam was shouting about financial abuse. Kendra was narrating the chaos to her followers. And in the middle of it all, Susan sat there, her web of lies unraveling thread by thread. I disconnected my phone from the TV. I'm leaving. Enjoy the shrimp cocktail. I grabbed my purse and walked out. No one stopped me. Part 3, The Fallout. The drive home was quiet. I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see the texts, the missed calls, the social media notifications. When I got to my apartment, I sat on my couch in the dark. I felt lighter. The weight of being the thief, the ungrateful daughter, the one who took advantage, it was gone. But it was replaced by a hollow ache. My mother didn't just use me for money. She used me as a scapegoat to keep Summer loyal to her. She painted me as the villain so she could play the martyr. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Finally, I picked it up. It wasn't Susan. It was Summer. Summer, can we talk? Please. I'm outside. I sighed and went to the door. Summer was standing in the hallway, looking small and defeated. Her mascara was running. I didn't know, she said, her voice trembling. I swear, Macy. I really thought, she always made it sound like you were demanding things. I opened the door wider. Come in. We sat on my couch, drinking tea. It was the first time we had been alone together without tension in years. Why did she do it? Summer asked, staring into her mug. Why lie about giving you money? Because it made her look generous, I said. And it gave her an excuse not to give you money. Oh, I can't help you, Summer, I just gave Macy $5,000. It was the perfect cover for her own spending. Summer's eyes widened. Her spending, wait. Where did all her money go? Dad left her a good pension. Bingo, I said. That's the next question. We spent the night digging. Not into my finances, but into Susan's public records. It didn't take long. Gambling debts. Online casinos. It turned out poor eyesight wasn't the reason she missed zeros. She missed zeros because she didn't have the money to pay me back. She was losing it all on virtual slots. Oh my God, Summer whispered. She's broke. She's completely broke. And she was trying to get me to pay you $100,000 so you wouldn't ask her for money directly, I realized. It was a shell game. Rob Peter to pay Paul, but make Peter think he's the bad guy. The next morning, the internet had done its thing. Kendra's live stream had gone viral. #ToxicMom was trending. People were analyzing the spreadsheet frame by frame. Susan called me at 9 a.m. I put it on speaker so Summer could hear. Macy, Susan sobbed. How could you? Everyone is laughing at me. My neighbors won't look me in the eye. Maybe you shouldn't have slapped me on camera, Mom, I said coolly. I was stressed. You provoked me. And now Summer won't answer my calls. Tell her to come home. Summer leaned over the phone. I'm not coming home, Mom. And I saw the casino records. Silence. Dead silence on the other end. You hacked me. Susan shrieked. Public records, Mom, Summer said. You have liens on the house. You ungrateful brats. Susan screamed. I raised you. I sacrificed everything. I hung up. Well, Summer said, letting out a long breath. That's that. Part 4, The Reset. Life didn't go back to normal. It got better. Summer and I grew closer. We bonded over the shared trauma of realizing our mother was a narcissist with a gambling addiction. We started a weekly dinner tradition, just us, no parents, no drama. I never got that $48,000 back. Susan filed for bankruptcy 3 months later. The house was sold to pay off her debts. She moved into a small apartment paid for by Uncle Sam, who felt sorry for her and enjoyed the moral superiority. I didn't care about the money. I had my reputation back. 6 months later, Thanksgiving rolled around. Kendra messaged me. "Hey Macy. We're doing a big family dinner at Sam's place. Are you coming? The followers keep asking for a part 2. I blocked her. Instead, Summer and I booked a trip to Hawaii. We sat on the beach, drinking cocktails that cost $25 each. You know, Summer said, adjusting her sunglasses. I put this on my card. No missing zeros. I laughed, clinking my glass against hers. Good. Because my eyesight is 20/20. As the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, I realized that for the first time in my life, the ledger was balanced. I didn't owe anyone anything. And no one owed me. I was free. Epilogue, The Receipt Queen. A year later, I launched a blog called The Receipt Queen. It started as a way to vent, sharing anonymous stories about financial boundaries and family dynamics. It blew up. People sent in their own horror stories. I gave advice on how to track expenses, how to spot gaslighting, and how to protect yourself financially from toxic relatives. One day, I got an email. Subject, request for advice. Message, Hi Macy, I know it's you. I saw your blog. I'm in trouble. The apartment rent is going up and Sam is threatening to cut me off if I don't stop playing the slots. I have nowhere to go. Can you help your old mom out? Just a small loan? I promise I'll pay you back. Love, Mom. I stared at the screen. The audacity was almost impressive. I typed a reply. Dear Mom. Attached is a link to a list of local resources for gambling addiction support groups. Also attached is the invoice for the $48,540.23 you still owe me. Once that is cleared, we can discuss future loans. Best. The Receipt Queen. I hit send. And then, I closed my laptop and went to meet Summer for lunch. It was her treat today. She had just gotten a promotion, and she wanted to celebrate. We ordered the seafood tower. The expensive one. And it tasted like victory. The end.